Hey, what's up? It's yours truly, Lorenzo Ice-T Thomas, and I had a chance to sit down with the legend, Kurtis Blow. He has a documentary coming out in 2015, and I had the honor of sitting down and interviewing him to talk about it. Look for me in it coming out next year. Let's check out the interview.
Everybody, if you got what it takes, because I'm Kurtis Blow, and I want you to know that these are the breaks.
This 99 Jam, South Florida's true home for hip-hop and R&B. Yours truly, Lorenzo Ice-T Thomas. Afternoon jump-off going down. And, whenever we have guests in the studio, we roll out the red carpet. But we're going to have to roll out the red carpet. We're going to have to bring out the crown. We're going to have to definitely bring out the throne, because I don't know if I could call him this. I don't think he's ever been labeled like the king of rap or the king of hip-hop. But I have a legend before me right now. It is my honor. I've been in your presence a couple of times, but this is the first time we've been able to talk and chop it up. I have the legendary Kurtis Blow in the studio. What's up, man?
All right. Man, thank you for that introduction. It's my pleasure to be here.
Right.
Man, Ice is just, wow, a blessing.
Right.
A straight blessing to be in Miami at such a time as this.
Well, I mean, we got a lot of New Yorkers, a lot of transplants
I heard
down here. Oh, man. So, while you're down here, you might look for a spot. But it's 30 years for basketball. Now, I'm a native New Yorker. I just want to let you know.
Okay.
I grew up on 97th Street.
Oh.
Right across the street from Rocksteady Park. Okay. Crazy Legs. Frosty
Manhattan.
Freeze.
Wow.
Know them.
Yeah.
I mean, I was a little, the GOAT. You know where the GOAT is, right across the street on 97th Street with Rocksteady Park. And they had the handball court where they used to put the graffiti up and all of that.
Amsterdam, right?
Amsterdam, right between Amsterdam and Columbus. So that's where I grew up, right there in New York. So Harlem World, Barnes International, Roxy, all those spots. No, you had to find out where you had to get the brand new cassette. Cold Crush cassette.
That's
now,
right.
I know you remember those days.
Of course, yes.
What has it been like? What has been this ride been like for you from back then? I mean, you got to go back to the early 70s when you were breakdancing to today. What's it been like for you to see the growth that hip-hop is
Well, it's interesting. It's interesting that you said ride, because that's exactly what it was. It was a dream-filled journey, a ride that was just one miracle after another. I've seen so many things in my lifetime. In my early days, in the 70s, and coming up to the first original records in 79, 80, and dealing with Sugar Hill Gang and Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five, of course, and all of those first early records, and even before that, man, it was just awesome to be around when hip-hop was just a baby, when it was just an embryo, and seeing it bud and grow and evolve into this big billion-dollar industry that it is now. So it's been incredible. I've been totally blessed so many times over, just being in the right place at the right time. In those days, being around and getting the opportunity to see people like Pete DJ Jones and Kool Herc and going to their parties and seeing the difference between the two DJs and knowing the difference in the different crowds that they cater to. And wow, it's just amazing. Awesome.
Now, you were really the first artist, and correct me if I'm wrong, to get a record deal.
Major record deal.
Record deal. You were the first one. If you knew what you know now, then where do you think you would be? Because there was so much, that was under the table. I mean, I don't want to throw any names, Sylvia. I don't want to say any names, but there were so many people that got over on the artists back in the day. So what do you think would have been different if those cats, I mean, we can talk about Cold Crush, we could talk about Sugar Hill Gang, we could talk about Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five, and how, they got their deals. If they had understood everything that they were getting ready to partake in, what could have been different if they knew?
For me, pretty much it would have been the same, because I was fortunate enough to work with people who were fairly honest.
Wow.
And my first producers, J.V. Moore and Robert Ford, who I still keep in touch with to this day, those guys were pretty honest, and they told me, they said, man, you need to get your lawyer, you need to get a lawyer, an accountant, you need to get people, a team of individuals, professionals around you.
So you're a little more educated,
and
though, right?
I was a college student,
right,
so
exactly.
I soaked it all in, and I worked the system. I knew how to I was a communications major,
right.
Speech broadcasting. So I knew how to work the system and go to the different departments and deal with this department head and deal with policies and traditions and rules and stuff like that. So I was pretty fortunate to be able to function in the mainstream, whereas other cats, my peers who were not educated, they were not college students. So they didn't know how to get a lawyer or even communicate that the fact that they needed one, and they didn't have people behind them who were fairly honest saying, do this, do that, and because they were honest and they really wanted me to be successful. So I was fortunate. I was in a class by myself almost, and I had an advantage over all the other cats who didn't have an education.
Right, and I think what made you different and separated you from everyone else, because when you listen to hip hop today, you could probably take some of the same MCs from back in the day, your era. If you took them and put them on some of the same instrumentals that we hear today, the records would sell, because all you really needed a hook. But these guys were real, true lyricists. I don't know if we would categorize you as one of those battle rappers, but not at all, right?
No.
But you were really like the one that educated everyone on how to. Jam Master Jay was excellent at trying to teach people how to put a record together. You got to have 16 bars and a hook. You were like one of the first artists to really step out and do that, which separated you from everyone else.
Well, a lot of people don't know that about me, but that was my real claim to fame and my contribution to hip hop. I sort of look at it as like
I rule the world, right? Right.
I looked at it as like a college project. See, Russell Simmons and we went to college together, and I was a communications major, speech broadcasting, and I sort of tried to major in a field that was relative to hip hop. So we as rappers, we're like communicators. We are orators. We are public speakers. So I studied all of these speech classes and voice and diction and the art of rhetoric and all these different communications classes dealing with speech, which was just like rap. So as a rapper, a rap is like a speech.
Right.
You have your intro, your body, your conclusion. So
MC, master of ceremonies.
So what I did was it's sort of like a philosophical thing that I did in putting raps in these categories. Like, for instance, you have your demonstrative speech, which is a speech that talks about different subjects like basketball, or you could talk about Christmas. Then you have of course, your motivative speaking, your inspirational, like pep rallies and stuff like that. Then you have your political speeches, of course, social relevant speaking, party raps to inspire you to get out there and party. Here's a good one. There's such a thing called an extemporaneous speech, which is a speech that is not prepared. It's not written. You don't study it. You just do it off the cuff, they say it. So that's the same thing as a freestyle. So I put raps in all these different categories, and I based my album, the format of my first 5 albums, I had all of these different categories of raps in there. So that was my claim to fame.
Okay. Well, you had 8 Million Stories.
Yes,
you
sir.
had The Breaks.
Yes.
And how did basketball come about? It's 30 years, being a native New Yorker. Everybody knows, the basketball song, and you're shouting out all the athletes of that era, Darryl Dawkins with the monster dunk and, the video. When you look at the video today, what does it make? I had a chance to see it again. I had to get a look at it again.
Those girls.
We won't even say anything about the cheerleaders. But
sorry, ladies.
What was your thought process at that time when you were making the song, and did you really think it would be relevant, 30 years later? I know the Christmas rapping is 35 years, right? As you said earlier. But 30 years later, did you think it would still be able to have legs, to stand, to be one of those classic throwbacks? When you sat down and said, I'm going to write this. Well, actually, you didn't write it, right?
No, I wrote part of it.
When you sat down and you put it together, what made you come up with that at that particular time?
Well, actually, the idea came from my wife, who at
Really?
that time was my close girlfriend. And she came to me. She said, Kurtis, you need to do a song about basketball, a rap song about basketball. I mean, basketball is our favorite sport. You know, this is a favorite sport for African Americans, and we don't have a theme song. You know, whenever you go to baseball games, they sitting on the seventh inning. Take me out to the ball game.
Right.
We need a song for that, for basketball.
Wow.
And I said, wow, that's a great idea. So I went to my staff writers. I had a staff of writers. My boy, Billy Bill, who's still around today, William Wary. I said, yeah, man, let's go. Let's do it. And I said, make sure you put Dr. J in.
Right.
Because that was my favorite, basketball player at the time.
But you shouted out a lot of athletes and
Sure
you
did.
know, Earl the Pearl.
Michael Jordan was a rookie, and we still got him in the song talking about Michael Jordan slam dunking on Patrick Ewing, and it was crazy. And he was a rookie. He didn't even.
Wow.
He wasn't even in the NBA during that time.
Da-da-da Jam, South Florida's true home for hip-hop and R&B. It is the afternoon jump off with yours truly, Lorenzo Ice-T Thomas. Driving you home or to your destination right now. I got you in second gear. And, of course, I have guests in the studio. I have a whole bunch of guests, cameras and the whole nine. We are actually working on a documentary about, I guess we could say, about basketball and the history of basketball. 30 years worth. Can you take these headphones and they got a little something right there. You can plug it in there. I want you to be able to hear what's going on. The Heat and Knicks play tonight at the AAA, and there's going to be someone who's kind of honored tonight. He's in the studio with me. He goes by the name of Kurtis Blow. What's up, man?
All right. Thank you for having me here, man.
Oh, man, it's a pleasure to have you here. Pleasure to meet you. So what's happening tonight? I mean, the people are like Kurtis Blow at the AAA.
Yeah.
Isn't he a Knicks fan or what's going on?
Well, it's going down tonight. Yes. I'm going to the game. Miami Heat versus the New York Knicks. I can't wait to see them come down here, come to town, see Carmelo. And, of course, man, I got to shout out Tim Hardaway Jr., man. I've been watching that boy. Y'all watch out for him,
We know about him.
You know
Don't be surprised if you see him in a Heat uniform in a couple of years.
I hear you. But I'm here for the game just to celebrate the 30th anniversary of my song Basketball and hang out with the Miami Heat. I'm a big Miami Heat fan. I know I'm from New York.
Right.
I live in L.A.
Right.
I've been in
You
L.A. for the last
torn,
20
man.
years. Yeah.
Wait a minute.
But seriously, the Miami Heat, I've been in love with them since about 2005. Ever since the emergence of Dwayne Wade doing this thing. And when Shaq came here, he came from L.A.
That's right.
So I was an L.A. Lakers fan.
Oh, man.
Right? So when Kobe did that to Shaq, right?
You and I are right here.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
When that happened to Shaq,
Yeah.
I was like, oh, man, I became a Miami Heat fan when Shaq came here.
Wow.
And they won the championship.
That's
so
right.
I was like, wow, that's great. I was following them ever since then.
Yeah,
So
I was a New York Knicks fan up until 2000.
Okay.
And when they treated Patrick Ewing the way they did in New York, I was like, it was like they were like my first girlfriend.
Right.
They broke my heart and continue to break it over and over and over. And I said, yo,
Right.
I'm not giving you my heart anymore. So I was like 3 years without a team until I moved down here in 2003.
Okay.
And then, Tim Hardaway,
Yeah.
Alonzo Mourning,
Right.
Udonis,
So-
all of those guys. DJ Irie was here.
Right.
DJing with me on the Drive at 5. So from that
Okay.
time on, man, I've been a Heat fan. But tonight, 30 years, basketball. The NBA has embraced the song over the years. Are they going to do something special tonight?
They told me they had a surprise. I don't know what it is, but I'm going to be there with bells on, watching the game, hanging out. Oh, man, it's going to be awesome. So if you guys are in the neighborhood, please come through. Holla at your boy. Say congratulations, 30 years.
Woo!
And I'll be out there just rooting on the Heat.
Without a doubt. As Kurtis Blow, he's in the studio. He's going to hang out for a few minutes. So holla us 866-991-JAMZ. Right now, we're going to pop that right here on the afternoon jump off. Yours truly, Lorenzo Ice-T Thomas, man. It's a pleasure to be here
Thank
with
you.
the king of rap. I said it, Kurtis Blow.
Got what it takes? Cause I'm Kurtis Blow, and I want you to know that these are the words.
It's 99 Jam South Florida's true home for hip hop and R&B. Yours truly, Lorenzo, Ice-T Thomas with Kurtis Blow, still hanging out. And of course, man, we chopping it up, talking about old school hip hop and where it originated in New York. And they may say, was it the Bronx? Was it Queens? Was it Brooklyn? Was it Manhattan? Where would you say it originated, Kurtis?
Oh, it's definitely the Bronx. Definitely the Bronx. You know, Harlem was there as well. You know, and we supported early. Right. But it was the Bronx.
It was the Bronx. And what were the hottest clubs? I mean, I'm thinking back. I grew up in New York, and I don't know how. I left New York when I was 18 to go to college.
Okay.
But I went into all of those clubs.
Right.
I mean, I don't even remember how I got in. But when you think back to it, which were those clubs that were just legendary for hip hop? When you think of old school hip hop, where it originated, which ones are the ones you gotta mention?
Clubs like 371, incredible club.
Okay.
Disco Fever.
Disco Fever.
Of course,
Disco Fever. Right. They had the record.
But before that, you know, with Kool Herc, people like Kool Herc. He used to jam at this place called the Executive Playhouse or the Ecstasy Garage.
Okay. They played a lot of house music at the Ecstasy Garage too, right?
No. Later on. No.
That's the garage.
Yeah, downtown.
Okay, later on. Okay.
Yeah, that's all the way down in the Village.
Okay.
We're talking up in the Bronx.
Okay, all right.
So then you had clubs in Harlem like the Renaissance Ballroom, the Savoy, the Cotton Club.
Okay.
And then you would go downtown and get to the adults and the disco rappers, or we like to call them, like Hollywood and Eddie Chiba, DJ Jones, Starsky, people like that would go to Nell Gwynn, so
in the sky,
Leviticus, Nemos, Pippins, Superstar Cafeteria, a lot of clubs down in Midtown Manhattan.
And a lot of people kind of capitalized on that, because once hip-hop became a very popular art form, then you had the movies. And I know you appeared in a couple of movies as well, right?
Yes. Yeah. Crush Groove, big shout out to the Prince, Marky D of the Fat Boys, right here on 99 Jams, my man, do your thing. You know, but yes, Crush Groove. I did a movie with Leon Isaac Kennedy with the Fat Boys too.
Not Penitentiary 1 and 2. Huh?
No. It's called Nights of the City.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And of course, I did a few documentaries, The Show,
which was good. That was excellent. I remember that.
The Show, and a couple more. I just forget.
Now, did you ever want to get into acting like full time? Was that something that was passionate?
I actually moved out to LA from New York to LA. And yes, pursued a career. I remember when I first got out there, we had all these big dreams and stuff, to make it in Hollywood and all that. And I got the deal to play what's the guy, Jimi Hendrix, the Jimi Hendrix story. I was gonna do that at one point. And also Sugar Ray Robinson. I was gonna play Sugar Ray Robinson in his story too. And those are two big movies I was really excited about, but they fizzled and never happened. So, my acting career sort of like fizzled out, but it's all good. I'm still here,
You're still doing your thing. And then you have the actors that want to be actors, and we have a lot of successful right now. And then you have a lot of athletes that want to be rappers.
Right.
And I mean, who has really excelled out of all the athletes that have tried to cross over to that genre?
You have rappers who want to be athletes too.
That's true. I think growing up, we all wanted to be, a football player, basketball player, maybe a baseball player, what have you. But what's your take on these, these athletes today that want to be rappers?
No, I think it's great. And that's the connection between music and sports. Is people like Shaq, who really went out there and did a couple albums. He kind of did it, man. In the early 90s, he did his thing. Not bad. Yeah. He's really good. But there was a guy who did a song. He was a boxer. Roy Jones.
Roy Jones.
Do you remember that song?
You forgot.
I thought you forgot about me.
Yeah, exactly.
I loved that video. I thought it was great. But when they played it in New York, they just clowned him, man. Wow. And I was so mad and upset because I thought it was really good. It's a professional video with the pit bulls. And
he actually shot that video in Washington, D.C.
Right.
Yeah, he shot it right there. And I remember when it was all going down. And we thought, he had a nice little hook, but it didn't matter. It was Roy Jones Jr., so he wasn't going to get accepted.
So this connection between hip hop and sports has always been there, and I'll tell you why. Because basically, if you are an athlete, let's say if you're a basketball player, you need rhythm. That's a main thing about sports is the rhythm, your timing. When you got your little crossover move and your herky jerky, you know what I'm saying? Even on defense, if you're going up to block a shot, you got to have perfect timing. You got to jump at the right time and stick the ball on the backboard at the right time, you know what I'm saying? So it takes timing, it takes rhythm. And that same rhythm, that same timing is what we use when we rap. Because it's all about the rhythm of the beat, you know, and connecting to that beat and staying syncopated to the beat. So that connection
having
is there.
that right cadence.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Because that's what really, I mean, we really think about hip hop. And when I'm talking to those that aspire to do it, you know, you have your beat, but it's also your voice is an added instrument. Just like back in the day, you know, you had the jazz or the sax that would freestyle. Right. You know, now basically the rapper has replaced that by using his voice as another instrument by using different cadences.
Yeah,
you
so
know?
the percussive sound of the cadence and going back and forth in connection with the beat is the rhythm that is needed in hip hop. The same rhythm that is used in sports.
But you know something, man? You might want to start a school. Because back in the day, and I'm serious, think about this. Back in the day, the artists performed. They put on a show. They had routines. They didn't have 100 dudes on the stage. You had your dancers. Okay, all right, we don't need to be dancers because people standing on couches now. But there was something about showmanship. And I know you probably got an opinion on that. It was about, you know, I just remember the Cold Crush Brothers and everybody having a routine and being, you know, unified just in everything that they're doing. But today it doesn't seem like there's a lot of showmanship in the hip hop.
Yeah, well, you know, it was all a process. It's all about entertainment. See, we're entertainers, and a lot of cats forget about that. At the end of the day, you want people leaving your concert feeling good, feeling entertained. I don't think guys know that today. But back in the day, it was part of the process of selling records. See, our whole thing was we were trying to sell records. You sell 1 million copies, you're rich for life. So that was our job, to sell records. So in the process of trying to sell records, you had to have a great live show. If you didn't, you couldn't sell records. Because the thing is, you release an album, then you go out on tour to promote your album. But if you're out there on tour doing a live show, if people love your performance, the next day they'll go to the record shop and buy your record. And it shows up in the record sale. You'll see, we were in Chicago last night, I performed, and man, we sold 50,000 records in Chicago the next day. You know what I'm saying? So if you don't have a good show, you're going to sell 2,000 records.
Hey,
you know what I'm saying?
Hey, man, it's the school.
So it's important.
Think about it.
Yes.
All right. It needs to be done. If you're just checking in, we're talking to the legendary Kurtis Blow. I want to talk to you in a few minutes about being a minister.
Yes,
okay?
Sir.
All right, we're going to talk about that right here on South Florida's true home for hip hop and R&B. It's 99 Gems. That was my great interview with the legendary Kurtis Blow. Look out for our documentary, Hitting Stores 2015.